welcome back to the Not My Weekend podcast.
Welcome back, everybody.
Nick and I are only just seeing each other for the first time today. Hey, while you're here, go get tickets to see us open up for Calling All Captains and also Forever Came Calling at the end of May. So that's May 27th through June 1st. It's 6 shows that we're doing from Northern California through Reno, Nevada, down to Southern California.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. We're practicing. Getting good.
Come see us there. Yeah, Nick and I have been practicing. It is Kyle will not be joining us on guitar on this tour. So it's our first time attempting to do a set that is predominantly Nick playing guitar without me playing guitar. Nick's been learning some new stuff that he wasn't playing before, and I've been like programming our set in a way that it's never been programmed before. So come to those shows and tell us if you like that version of Not My Weekend, because at this point we're just trying to problem solve for the best way for us to consistently present the band. You know what I mean? So I don't know. We're going to do these 6 shows with the 3 of us for sure.
Yeah.
And then if you see us with a 4th guitar player later in 2025, or with a 4th person on stage later in 2025, it definitely means that we didn't like how it sounded or looked or something with these upcoming shows.
Well, I mean, it might be cool. It just might be cooler with 4 people.
For you, is that an aesthetic thing or a sonic thing or both?
Probably both. I mean, sonically, we could have the identical thing, obviously, but I guess more aesthetic then.
I think more aesthetic. Yeah.
I mean, we could go up and just like play the songs from Spotify while miming it, and that would be sonically, the same as the songs, but it wouldn't be aesthetically cool at all.
No.
I think it's sort of a similar way. Like the more track you have, the less aesthetically cool it is.
I see. Yeah.
Anything that could be played by a person, like probably should be if it can be, but like we have material restrictions that are preventing us from doing that.
Yeah, the material. So, a ton of those material restrictions being like instruments that don't exist. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, and that's where I said like if it can be played live.
Yeah.
Because if it's a track that belongs in the tracks, it's just like a synth thing or whatever, then maybe don't have a synth player just to do that little flourish.
Yeah.
But,
But
if it's like a lead guitar part or something, or even a fairly prominent rhythm guitar part, someone might notice, like, hey, nobody's playing that part.
Well, and
I'm hearing it.
Yeah. Well, and that's what and that's what a lot of what Nick is doing right now is just learning whatever the most prominent part of all the songs are. Whatever the loudest thing in the mix of the Not My Weekend songs that you're listening to is got to be what Nick's playing, and whatever the anything that is a supporting piece will be in the tracks. But I mean, like, rest assured, our vocals are blasting loud through the speakers the whole time. You know what I mean?
I guess I'll say
with a healthy amount of auto-tune, but they're turned way the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Like, as long as there are 2 guitar parts in the songs that we're playing, it makes sense to have 2 guitar players up there on stage, to me.
Okay.
But I'm not, like, saying it's totally egregious to have just me up there playing along with some guitar tracks.
Okay.
But, some people might feel pretty strongly that it is egregious.
Yeah. I'm not really... I'm not concerned about those people.
Yeah, me neither.
I'm much more concerned about sounding and feeling good than I am about that opinion. You know what I mean?
Right, and I don't think that that's going to be a common opinion either.
And you would have and I think that person would have that same feeling about us not having a bass player up there and us not having a keyboard player up there. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm not going to like...
Yeah, that person probably just wouldn't like our band, full stop.
Probably. Okay, I wanted to show you something before we got into today's subject.
Okay. Wow.
You are not on Twitter? ?
I'm on Twitter.
Oh. Well, then maybe you already saw this. Did you see this?
Oh, wow.
Isn't that wild?
Sweet like sugar and stars.
That's crazy, huh?
Right on.
Yes, our friend Liz, who we have met at a couple different Not My Weekend shows, got a honeymoon sweet like sugar and stars tramp stamp, which is awesome. They use the word tramp stamp. Don't worry. I would have said lower back tattoo if they weren't like, not my weekend tramp stamp. Let's fucking go. And I was like, this is so cool. So I tweeted at them and asked if I could share it. But I think, well, I don't want to pick favorites, but that is a really good Not My Weekend tattoo. I love that a lot. That is so coolest, and we appreciate you greatly. And it officially makes it that the song Honeymoon by our band Not My Weekend has the most tattoos associated with it. There's like, I think less than 10 Not My Weekend tattoos. I think there's like 8 or 9. But now 3 of them are like honeymoon specific, like lyrics or imagery from Honeymoon. Which is just interesting because like there's one person that like has my signature, and there's a couple people that has like Not My Weekend, or like the flower from Yellow is a tattoo that exists. But then
I really like that design personally.
Well, that's a very good design by our
shout out our friend John,
our friend Seber on Instagram.
Yeah, Seber.
Yeah. I mean, Seber's name is John, but you won't.
My friend's name isn't really Seber. I'm friends with John.
Nick's friends with John, but trust me, if you go into Instagram and type in John, you will not find.
That's not how you're gonna find him.
I'll put it on screen. I think it's Seber_13. He did the art for both our albums, Yellow and Honeymoon, in collaboration with our friend Billy Harris, who is at Digital Bill on Instagram. So yes,
our friend Digital Bill.
Our friend Digital Bill. I mean, our friend Billy is kind of Digital Bill. You could like more.
No,
than...
it's just it's funny just referring to people by like their username.
Dude, sometimes people I like have it's like a pet peeve or like a thing that I've gotten shit for, but like when everyone else is calling someone by their artist name and like I call them by their first name, like I get made fun of a little bit. I think it's like a Los Angeles thing, but it's like because it's like
depends on who you're talking to.
It does depend who you're talking. It does depend who you're talking to, but it's like. I feel bizarre about it because sometimes people's artist name is like their nickname. It's like what they prefer to be called. You know what I mean? And it's like if it's what everyone in their peer group calls them, like maybe it's what I should be or whatever. But sometimes like when like you want me to refer to you as Lil Prozac or whatever, like I'm like, dang, like. I just have I don't know, or is it the Texas and Wyoming in me or something?
Yeah, I think
that has a tricky time with
something
that?
Deep down in you that wants to call people by their names. You just want to address people properly.
I think so. I have no idea. That's total. That's in my skull. Our friend Blue Pill's really nice guy. You know what I mean? Everyone just called him Blue, or they fully called him Blue Pill.
Well, I recall he introduced himself to me as Blue.
Right.
And when people tell you their name, you just call them by whatever they said.
Right. No, I know. I completely get that. I'm just saying it like that's an example of one where I was like, I do that because like, you know what it is? It's partially that I have a weird thing in my brain where I want to address people properly. But it's partially that like, well, but I know that is a different noun. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like if you asked me to call you like San Francisco Bridge,
sure.
Like I know that as a separate. I know that as its other thing. It's hard for me to now make that your name as well. Am I wrong for that?
Well, yeah, that's why I wouldn't. I didn't jump to calling Billy Digital Bill.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
John Seber.
Well, yeah, my promotional brain does outweigh my proper polite brain by a lot. My promo brain is takes precedent over me being polite. Because that's why I'm doing that. You know what I mean? Like I can when I'm saying Seber in Digital Bill, I'm seeing the username on screen. Like I'm seeing the future where I'm doing that editing, and I'm like, well, it's just easier if I say Seber13 because that's what they're reading right there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a tattoo that someone has is the yellow flower design that that Seber drew.
I finally thought of a good example of where like if I were like at a party or something and Skrillex happened to be there.
Yeah.
And I went up to him and called him
Sonny Moore.
I was like, Sonny, what's up? I think he would think I was an asshole for just calling him by his first name when I don't know him.
Yeah, but
you're talking about people that you know, right? I mean, people.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's the only reason I think that's not a good example is because like I'd introduce myself And if he said like, "Nice to meet you, I'm Skrillex,"
right?
Then
Which he probably wouldn't.
He probably wouldn't. I think he would definitely say Sonny.
Yeah, he'd say his name.
He's also like a lead singer and producer.
He's a human person.
Yeah. This is where it gets dicey.
Not just a concept.
Right,
not just like a musical.
Not just
brand.
Bro Step personified. Did you listen to the album?
Yeah, I did.
It's good.
I liked it.
Well,
I need to listen to it more. It didn't jump out to me quite as much as the previous.
Well, it jumped out
on first listen.
It jumped out to me, and I liked it better than not. He released 2 albums back to back, right? So not the first one, but I liked it better than the second one.
First one was, I think, Quest for Fire,
and that one's good.
Search for Fire, Quest for Fire.
I think Quest for Fire, and that one's good. And it's the second one.
The second one was like, "Don't touch me, I'm spiky."
yeah, exactly. No, I liked it better than that one, but I also liked it in the way that I would listen to a set on SoundCloud. Like, it's a 48-minute DJ set. Like, it's not even like you can't really. You really in this album, you really like sort of can't click on individual song. Like they're all 1 minute long. It's a 48-minute piece of work.
Just very short. And
it would just be weird,
punchy,
and it like goes into the next thing. Like it would be such an abrupt cutoff and not what you're listening to.
It doesn't seem to have like standout tracks. It is just like a listening experience.
Yeah,
all the way through.
I'm sure the album is one Ableton project. I'm sure it's just the one timeline, and then with identifiers where the songs start and end.
Probably. And I don't want to speak too much on it because, like I said, I only listened to it once, and I listened to it while I was doing other stuff, so I wasn't giving it my full attention.
Yeah, I did. I listened to it in the car. I was driving.
Sometimes I do that, and a song it'll like reach out through whatever I'm doing and get my attention anyway.
That's cool.
And that's a good sign that song is a little bit extra special.
Nick and I like EDM though. I'm curious to hear what portion of the Not My Weekend audience has a taste for EDM. Somebody I've been hanging out with a lot recently is the first person I've met in many, many years that has like I think music should be made with real instruments opinion.
Oh.
Isn't that weird though? She's like, and it is her taste, but I'm just surprised that she has like a, what would you call it?
What, like a preference?
No, because it's like a strong stance. Like
a principled opposition.
A principled opposition. Yes. Like, yes, it's more than just like, no, music should be made with instruments. And I'm like, no, doesn't have to be. Like, I just love Skrillex, so and like, tons of other EDM.
Skrillex is still using instruments. They're just kind of like fake.
That's what I just like, it's been so many years, like since we were in high school, that I heard people in person or on the internet actually like have that discourse. You know what I mean? I really thought we were past that.
Yeah, I disagree. Like, I love sampling, for example.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the whole history of musical sampling and interpolation, remixing. Like,
a huge reason that we don't do it in Not My Weekend is just like the independent band of it all. It's so difficult to get rights for samples and interpretations and things like that.
Right.
There are lots of moments on Not My Weekend songs where we make references to other material, but it's me singing it with Jared creating an effect that makes it similar to the original piece of work, so that it's like not a sample or quite an interpolate. It's a reference. It becomes a reference. But like if we had a fat record label or millions of dollars, maybe we would just try and sample those things. But instead, it's me going, check it out now, funk soul brother, check it. You know what I mean? Like did you hear that in Loser?
It's in there, yeah.
But you heard it though.
I couldn't really tell what it was saying.
That's what it's saying.
Yeah.
Check it out now, funk soul brother, check it. It's
just kind of someone going like Kenny talking through the hoodie.
You think it was that hard to listen? Maybe, it's probably just because I recorded it, but I could totally tell what it was.
Well, I think if I really listened hard and tried to figure out what it was saying, I could probably get it. But
that's on a new Not My Weekend demo that I don't know what will become of it. But we are attempting to make new Not My Weekend demos. Rest assured. I think I said that on a previous episode, but it is happening. I don't want people to think we're not I don't want people to think we're a band that makes podcasts and not music.
Yeah, we're resting on our musical laurels. We moved on
and we're just gonna podcast and play those songs forever. Honestly, if like I don't discredit bands that do that, like a Pierce the Veil playing the same, well, they put out a new album. What's a better example?
If we had like a moment that was thoroughly in the past and we
thoroughly huge,
and we knew that we were never gonna top that, we're never gonna come back to those heights, then sure, pivot to podcasting
and play those songs whenever people ask us to. You know what I mean? Maybe My Chemical Romance is a better example. I mean, they seem like actively afraid to put out new music. Because like they're out,
maybe tank the reputation. That can happen,
and their albums are so massive. Well, this is the argument you and I were getting into about movies or whatever we were talking about.
No, we were talking about older things in a discography ruining newer things. This is the opposite of that.
So you do think that newer things in a discography could affect how you view the older things?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. There's Blink-182 records that I like more or less than other Blink-182 records, but it doesn't change how I feel about self-titled.
I think that the changing your view thing can go both ways, but I think that when an artist puts out a new thing that really, really sucks, it can be enough to make you not interested in the artist at all.
Like
anymore.
Kanye.
Yeah.
And that's like the mega example.
Well, and that isn't even him necessarily just putting out music that sucks.
No,
even if his music were good, I wouldn't be interested in listening to it right now.
Well, it's the ultimate example because it's the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Like the best artistry in hip hop in the past couple decades, and also like the worst person. Yeah, it's just the lowest of lows as well.
Or like kind of similar. The new thing can be like what makes people stop caring. It can be what makes people stop paying attention, right? Like,
whereas you have their attention.
They decided that they don't even care anymore.
Whereas that you have their attention with the legacy of your old stuff.
Right.
Oh, that's pretty good, actually.
The new thing can come out and kind of like erase your legacy.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
That's rare, but
I think that a little bit has happened with Kanye. A little bit. Is there another example of like a legacy being
I can't think of one where someone was like fully gone. I mean, you think of like people who have a follow-up record to their first record that was a smash, and the second record maybe just like didn't. There's a ton of examples of those. You can check out Train Records, Todd in the Shadows on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of that.
Recent Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Current last couple Katy Perry albums. I definitely think that her decision to keep working with Dr. Luke and like the quality of the newer stuff and the way that it's being presented being poor has affected her ticket sales negatively.
Oh, big time.
Than if she was just doing a Katy Perry like Teenage Dream 10-year tour or something like that, then I think people would just be excited to.
Right, but she wants to still be like the number one top pop star, putting out like number one pop hits,
which is a bummer because like theoretically she could be if she just was
right, or even more contemporaneous perhaps, or more applicable to like right now. Would be Drake.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I know that we knew what I knew what contemporaneous meant, but hello, hi guys.
But yeah, with Drake,
yes,
and you can kind of blame that on his music. I think.
You think so?
You can also blame it on other things.
Pedophilia.
Like things in just his persona and his fame that have become obstacles for him.
And
also Kendrick was a pretty big...
and you know who
pretty
else,
big factor.
You know who else had a small part in that? Oh, that's
part
funny.
of the reason people don't really want to listen to Drake as much.
Well, like I've explained the Kendrick Drake beef to a few of like my parents and things like that now, and it's so apparent that Kendrick was like mildly offended by Drake's existence to begin with.
Well, yeah, and they had been collaborators in the past. Like they have a kind of a stormy history full of highs and lows and ups and downs.
I know. I just think that I think that Drake's existence as a Canada guy doing the brand of rap that he was doing to Kendrick was always like a little bit silly, but he was just like a massive hip hop star. So Kendrick was like, well, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna like
Well, a lot of
make mention
of
that.
Kendrick's initial success can be attributed to Drake. Like oh gosh, Take Care came out 2012, I believe.
Yeah.
And that had a song on it that was only Kendrick Lamar. People don't talk about it enough. The song Buried Alive from Take Care doesn't have Drake on it. He's not on it. It's just Kendrick.
Yeah, but
he gave him a whole song on his
sophomore
album.
Yeah.
And nobody knew who Kendrick was at that point in time, really. Like, Section 80 was out.
But Kendrick will cut his grandma off if she don't see it how he sees it. He made that very clear. If you don't see it how he sees it, you're done. And apparently clearly extended to Drake, obviously.
Well, I think that philosophy that Kendrick has now about being like a hip-hop purist, he very much had that back then as well.
I liked Drake's album, or I liked Drake's song with Lil Yachty. That song was cool.
Which, is that new?
Yeah, it was last year.
Pre-beef?
Pre-beef, like just before, a couple months
after
before.
The beef, he came out with like the Wagwan Delilah.
Wagwan Delilah. That song would have been funny if it wasn't, it was just like, if it just wasn't right around all that stuff. It would have been a funny thing to put on SoundCloud if, you know what I mean?
If it wasn't like the first thing that he did since the whole drama.
I think he was just trying to say, like, I don't even care, I'm having fun, but it was just a weirdly timed time to do a Wagwan Delilah cover. I get that song is and would be funny if it was just like a couple years ago and Drake was just having fun.
It still wouldn't be like a cool song I would want to listen to.
Yeah, no, it would just be funny. I would just put it on because it was funny, like, and because it made me laugh. You know what I mean?
For sure, I do listen to some artists because they're funny. Yeah, generally, not Drake.
I listen to Lil Dicky because it's funny. And
do
clever.
You really?
Yeah.
I think that Dave is, as a show, is so much better than any of the music that Lil Dicky has put out as an artist.
Yeah.
You watch Dave, right?
No, I'm ethically opposed to watching Dave.
Why?
Because it copies Childish Gambino's Atlanta.
I don't know. It does sort of. You can tell that they were thinking about it when they were making it. I don't think it like directly rips it off in any way that you can point at.
I know for a fact that Dave is good, and that if I watched it, I would like it. But I'm such a big Childish Gambino fan.
It's in a very, very similar lane. And like Atlanta came through and blazed this trail, and then Dave is following in its footsteps. Absolutely, no argument.
But not only that, but Donald Glover had done an interview that I watched with him where he was like, "Come on, man," and I was like, "Well, that's my boy. Like, I love Childish Gambino, so like,
I love Childish Gambino as well. Yeah. But I think two shows can be good.
Two shows,
even if one of them is definitely derivative of the other.
Sure. No, I agree. No, yeah, but I like Lil Dicky's music. I just haven't watched the show, so I don't know. Yeah,
I have never enjoyed his music. I think he's a talented guy, for sure.
It's crazy.
And I think that we would get along. I think that we would have good like rapport if we ever met.
You didn't like his freestyle on the Sway Show or whatever?
No, I'm saying I think he's talented. I just don't see that in his recordings.
Oh,
I see it in his like freestyles.
But like the record, like the song with Snoop.
I really liked. He put out the soundtrack for Dave, and he flexes some of his talent, I think, much better on that than he does on any of his other projects.
But like professional rapper with Snoop Dogg, where they're just being clever for 8 minutes, that doesn't work for you?
I remember when that came out, I thought it was cool, and I still think it's cool. I just didn't think it was great, and I can tell, I know that he's going for greatness.
Yeah,
and I think he's actually capable of it.
Sure,
and he achieved it with his show. I think
that's a good. I guess that's a good point that you make, because he is definitely going for greatness. So it's like if it achieved,
and he lays that out in his song, in the one you're talking about, Professional Rapper. He talks about his whole plan for how he's going to be this subversive, intellectual comedy rapper.
No, I think about that a lot when presenting our own band, because I just like want to be one of the really good pop punk bands. You know what I mean? And I want that to be what people think of us. And I don't want, I don't want people to go into our music or listening to our music thinking we're trying to be, like, I think it would be counterintuitive to want people to think that we want to be more than that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be a great band that people go see, and like that's to me, that's huge.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? But I think for I think there's a lot of artists that want to be like this like revolutionary game changing thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whereas like I don't want to spend my
I feel like we're kind of in more of a we just want to like put on a good show and have a fun time rather than like change the world with our art type situation.
You guys look great. Sorry, they look really nice. That's our neighbors. We're friends with all of our neighbors, and they know that we do this, and I appreciate them letting us just like invade the parking space. We're in like parking space that other people could be occupied. So the fact that all of our neighbors are nice about it and know that we sit in here with microphones, I appreciate. What did you say?
Thanks, neighbors.
Yeah. What was the last thing you said before they walked by?
I said that I think that our main goal, like you said, I was just kind of echoing and agreeing with what you said.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to put on a good show, and we want everyone at the show to have a fun time.
And
that's like our main thing.
And
we're not trying to change the world with our art necessarily.
I wouldn't want to spend my like life energy like trying to change the world with my art. I think that requires so much of your like your happiness and like your living life. You know what I mean? Like or just like people that are like billionaires or have like the biggest entertainment capitals or whatever. They always say like, no, my mental health's not good. Like I'm addicted to this change the world thing I've got going on. And I'm like, all right, that's not worth it. Like I would like to be happy and spend time with my loved ones. You know what I mean? Like this.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Yeah.
I think you want to strike a balance in life if you can and optimize for as much time doing things that you enjoy as possible.
Yeah.
Like that's really maybe a kind of slightly selfish view.
I don't think so.
But because you could take the perspective of like it's your responsibility as a human to like increase the goodness in the world or to reduce the badness in the world.
That's
to do whatever you can to make things better for the people around you.
That's big philosophy. I don't know about all that.
You could make that argument.
You could.
But I feel like those are just like kind of two flip sides of the same coin.
Okay.
Like on the one hand, you could go out there and do everything to help other people and get totally burned out and have no time for yourself. On the other hand, you could just only focus on yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's probably an Aristotelian mean or something.
And that's really big philosophy. We're getting people. We're losing. We're getting lost in the sauce a little bit.
Hey, chat. Let me know if you want me to do a different philosophy podcast because Mr. Philosophy Degree over here, he's not into it.
I think that's what getting the philosophy degree does.
It makes you sick of philosophy.
Well, just all of my friends that got the degree with me are either now full philosophy guys or like, please stop about it. You know what I mean? It's like once you've learned that you're not gonna solve it in your lifetime, you just go back to jerking off. You know,
what are we even doing here as people? I don't know. Who cares? I'm jerking off.
Yeah.
I'm sick of this.
I wrote a bunch of papers on it, but now I can't be bothered. I'm like, all right, I won't figure it out. I'm gonna keep playing Super Smash Bros. Definitely. There's some things I know.
Take that question about like meaning, and I'm just gonna toss that in the trash. Do not need to wonder about my meaning and purpose. Because I did it for like 2.5, 3, 4 years in college.
I did it for those 4 years, and now what I need is a spicy McChicken. So if we could, and a couple of...
I thought about it really hard for a while. Turns out I don't fucking know. So
that's 100% how I feel. Nick is nailing it on the head. That is what's happening. That's what has happened. That is what has happened. And we made these albums instead, and those are pretty good.
Yeah.
And you know what else?
I think so, anyway.
And you know what else we made is 2 weird cover songs. Whoa! Segway. That's what they had.
We did.
That word existed before the scooter.
Segway. It's how you get from one place to another.
Honestly, this has been a pretty good episode, so I'm probably going to leave most of what we just talked about. But for a few minutes...
Yeah, it felt good.
For a few minutes, I wanted to talk about in the middle of Yellow and the tours that we've talked about on the previous 4 episodes of this podcast so far. we ended up releasing 2 cover songs. Officially as Not My Weekend on streaming services that are still up.
Because our label at the time, We Are Triumphant, had reached out to us and asked us to do this as part of their compilations that they do.
Yeah. We Are Triumphant, they don't do this anymore. Well, now they're a totally different label. Now their new title is Life or Death. But at the time, We Are Triumphant was big in the cover song space, and they were doing lots of punk goes pop quasi type things.
Mm-hmm. Got you covered.
And we were a new band on their label when we released Yellow, so they wanted us to be a part of as much of that as they could get us to be, because it pushed our songs, it promoted us as a band, it promoted the label,
and we were excited for similar reasons. To do it.
Both times I was so just excited that someone like wanted music from us in general. I was pretty excited about both of these, but they're before we went on our tour, Survival Guide tour with the band Happy, which we'll talk about eventually. Mm-hmm. And before we worked on any additional original Not My Weekend music, we recorded 2 cover songs. In order, the first was I Never Told You What I Do for a Living by the band My Chemical Romance. As a part of a We Are Triumphant funded tribute album to My Chemical Romance's album 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. And then the follow-up one was a cover of Sucker by the Jonas Brothers, which our cover dropped a week and a half, 2 weeks after the Jonas Brothers originally released Sucker in 2019.
Yeah, we were quick on that one.
Well, they're both pretty funny stories.
Well, yeah, there's a reason why we had such a quick turnaround.
There's a reason for both. So,
well, you want to talk about the My Chem one first?
Yeah, just in order. The My Chemical Romance song, I had never heard. Had you ever heard?
No.
The song? Yeah, no.
I heard the hits from that record. Are there hits on that record?
Helena. Long ago, just like the Hearst, you died again and again. We are so far ready.
I should know that.
You should.
I'm embarrassed that I don't.
What's the worst that I can say?
Oh, that song.
Things are better if
yeah, I definitely know that song.
That's the song.
Okay.
The part I was singing is the intro, but the intro is also very iconic. And then the other song on that album is Not Okay.
I'm a fake scene guy.
Okay.
I never pretended to be a scene guy, for what it's worth. But.
Look, even for us not pretending to be scene guys or being fake scene guys.
Oh, you're not. You're legit. You cared about pop punk since you were youngin'.
Look, that's true. The difference is I was never spooky.
You were somewhere in the scene, though. You were in the happy side of the scene.
I was in the scene, but I had never heard this song. Just because, I was never a vampire guy. I was never walking around.
Yeah, you were like bowling for soup guy.
Yeah. I was never truly walking around in all black, and obviously I knew I'm Not Okay and Helena, and I had heard a few other songs off this album, but I had this is track 9. Or 10. It's the second to last song on the album. I Never Told You What I Do for a Living. So I'd never heard it before. We were listening to it. I thought it was weird as hell. Because also, it wasn't our pick. We Are Triumphant was
yeah, it was assigned.
Cover this song for the compilation. And we were like, okay. And I played it, and I was like, it's a song about murder. He's a hitman, and he never told this girl that he's a hitman, and then maybe he kills her. We covered the song. I recorded it.
So long and good night.
Yeah. You're getting me. Yes. So, yeah, I don't... Honestly, a bigger My Chem fan than me that has not covered the song, you tell me what it's about, because it's funny that I don't even know after we've recorded it. But, yeah, it's... So we're assigned this song. I take it, at the time, I was taking vocal lessons from Dr. Lamartine at the University of Wyoming. Mm-hmm. She improved my singing a lot, helped me figure out my voice a ton. I did a bunch of voice lessons with her. If you're a singer, I would recommend getting one-on-one vocal lessons, especially for rock and pop music. It's way, way, way more applicable than just being in your choir. Not that you shouldn't be in your choir, but I think you should do both. And she just helped me with my voice and how to sing that a lot. And I brought the song to her, and she was like, "This is weird. This is a weird song." And a lot of it is just like desperation screams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like metalcore screams. It's not like a or something like that, it's like, what's it? Like, it's really that just like a real guttural, desperate thing. And look, I knew, especially our album Yellow is a really synth-heavy, poppy EP, for sure. Like there's just a ton of really, really poppy parts of that EP, and that was the parts that people had heard the most about us. So we, like, synthesized and popped this song up really hard. I made the project for it in my program. Reason is what I was using and still use a little bit, and I just made like everything about the first verse with electronic drums and electronic pads and synths and things and chords.
I think came out cool.
Thank you. And I think just because we were so not those guys, because we're so not like a spooky band by any means, or a band that would have a song on an album called 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, I just wanted to make it as different as possible so that when people heard it and listened to it, it wasn't like the consensus couldn't be like, well, these guys did a good cover of this song, these guys did a bad cover of this song. It would just be, well, it's way different. Like, I don't know, they just got really weird with it, And yeah, if you haven't listened to it, go check it out. Apple Music is weird, and it's our second most played song on Apple Music.
Is that true?
Yes. I think it's just on some weird Apple Music playlist.
How many streams?
I don't want to include that.
Okay. Well, it's Apple Music, so who's on there, really?
Yeah, I know. Look, our most played songs on Apple Music are in like the 60 and 70,000s, as opposed to the millions that are on Spotify. But that's a commentary on the platforms, not us as a band. Okay.
Well, that song on Spotify, I know, doesn't have a whole lot going on.
Maybe 60,000 or something like that.
Maybe.
Go listen to it.
It's cool. It's a good song. It's a cool cover, and I think we did an interesting spin on it.
One person that came to see us on the Yellow tour came just because they heard that song. They heard the cover, checked out the rest of the band, and then came to see us on the Yellow tour. I wonder if they're still a fan of our band. I remember they were like, I heard that My Chem cover, and now I'm here. And I was like, you know what? Awesome. Glad we made it then. There's like on Yellow, I was doing a lot more. On the Yellow EP, I was doing a lot more falsetto than I do now. Crawl. Our song "Crawl" literally goes "crawl on in," and so on that, I was like kind of trying to still do that on that song. So there's like background vocals of me going like "That's right," like I'm Celine Dion or something. So that's silly.
I think it sort of fits the dramatic
nature of the tune.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very over the top sort of tune.
It is.
And we couldn't do that solemnly,
No, we could. I mean, the bridge of that song, there's parts where he in the original and me on our cover are just going, I tried. It's like, okay, all right.
And when he's saying it like over the bloodied corpse of his lover or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, he is.
And you're saying it because you did try your best to cover that song. We wish we could have done Teenagers, but yeah, When Life Gives You Lemons.
Holy shit, that's so funny. That's the truest thing we've said on the podcast so far. Oh my god.
Ba, 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 ba.
That's so funny.
I'm glad you like that.
That's so good. Fuck. Yeah, go listen to it. There is a really cool vocal in that song where I go at the very end on the last final chorus, final bit, like the climax of the song. There's like one more night, and I'm laughing out, crying out loud, which was at the time I think the highest note I had hit in my full voice, and like that full run is just like, I think that song made me a little bit better as a singer because I'd never hit that note that high, and that whole run it's got like a screen background thing. It's just it's more it's almost a little bit more well executed than any of the vocals on the Yellow EP, just because it was more difficult.
You had to get like operatic.
Yeah.
You had to take your voice to a whole different place to sing that song.
It's true. No, it's true. So We Are Triumphant posted that whole album on their YouTube, and what I wanted to happen totally worked. All of the comments about our song were just like, this is a great cover, or this is just so weird. Like, someone said, this is so weird, I don't know how I feel about it. You know what I mean? To like, cool cover. Like, this is an interesting take on this song. You know, no one said like fully this one sucks.
And I don't think that we like phoned it in either.
No,
even though
we worked really hard on it.
Like, a lot of the time, if you don't know a song going in, you're just kind of like, all right, well, whatever. Let's just do the song.
Yeah,
the way that it is. But yeah, we tried to make it different and make it interesting.
Yeah, Nick is playing a lead guitar part that we wrote for it that I don't think is in the original recording. Just because
we're like, maybe we can put a new part in it.
We
have fun with it.
We just needed an additional lead that was a little bit more I think. So there's a plucky thing that Nick's playing in there. And then me just doing the bar chords to just support what I made happen on the piano and what the original song does, the power chords that the original does. And then Noah and I put the drums together. And the song was mixed by Neil Engel, who did Yellow, and he tuned up my vocals and made that song sound good. So the reason that production sounds good is totally Neil's doing, because it was recorded in our old garage in Wyoming. And Ed played bass on it. It's the only song that Ed plays,
like, tracks bass on.
It is the only song in Not My Weekend's discography where Ed tracks the bass on it. Yeah. Granted, I don't know what Neil did to it after the fact, because Neil does a lot of mixing bass and drums things with synthetic pieces of bass and drums. You know what I mean? But yeah, go check that song out if you haven't.
For sure. Yeah, generally I tend to think like I like cover songs the best when the band covering them, you can kind of tell that they're passionate about the song.
Yeah.
And that probably isn't one of those situations. I wonder if people who are like big MCR fans can tell that we like didn't know the song very well.
I don't know. They can tell now. I don't know.
Yeah, we're letting you know on the podcast if you thought that we were huge fans of that tune.
No,
that's why we covered it.
You know what? I would almost guess. I would hope that people think this, but I would almost guess if I was listening to that, I would think that this band took this in so many directions. They must be really familiar with the source material, because how would you be able to? Maybe.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd be interested to see if any MCR people have thoughts on that. If you do, comment it.
Yeah. And then months and months and months after that, We Are Triumphant was doing one of their Got You Covered albums, which is very much a Punkos Pop style album where they have alternative rock bands do covers of popular music.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be like pop radio, but pretty much like pop songs from right now.
Yeah, just like a top 10 song from probably from any chart.
This one's funnier than the My Chem story. So a few months. This is after the Yellow tour, before any other kind of touring. So we're still an active band. We've got the Tour Declassified tour coming up. And Greg from We Are Triumphant is like, do you want to do this Got You Covered album? We were like, yeah, of course, let's do a pop song. That'll be great. And this is the summer that Ariana Grande's Thank You Next album was going absolutely crazy. And I was listening to the album a lot. Thank You Next, 7 Rings, Break Up With Your Boyfriend. That whole record was really great. I listened to it a ton. And no one had claimed it, because this time we got to choose. Like, okay, do you
right? It's like just any
pop song,
any charting pop song right now.
And I asked if anyone had claimed "Thank You Next," which was just like the biggest song that summer, and nobody had. And he was like, "You can do it," and I was like, "Cool, we'll cover "Thank You Next." In hindsight,
yeah, we did attempt to cover "Thank You Next."
God, it's so funny.
But I don't know if that idea was.
Have you guys heard
from Jump Street?
Have you guys heard Ariana Grande sing? She's really good at it. She's like I don't know why my dumbass 21-year-old ass stupid ass brain was like, well, if I can sing this Gerard Way song, I can totally handle this Ariana Grande fucking like it's a melting pot of beautiful vocals.
And I'll be honest, it also doesn't help that song in particular is a song where she's like, my name's Ariana Grande. couldn't be about anybody but me. Here are all of my exes, and I name all of their names.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what I was saying, too. Like, in the song, I'm like, hey, what's up? It's Ari, but it's me. It's Pat.
I was like, whoa, dude, you dated Pete Davidson? That's crazy.
So I take that song. So I do an arrangement of Thank You Next with Nick, with Noah in my computer. It's a rock version of the song. It doesn't change the tempo. It doesn't change the full timeness of the drums. So it's just going bow, 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 bow. Thank you next, bow, just like that. It's just big and loud, a version of Thank You Next, right?
Groovy.
I take it to my vocal coach. I record the song with her. So I record it with her in the room at her place. We do a stack of like 30 vocals to try and make it somewhere near what Ariana Grande is doing. So there's a session where I'm doing my God honest best attempt at all these different octaves and thirds and fifths and harmonies and versions of Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. We have the project done on our end, on our computer at home, and it's rough. We know it's rough, but we're
thinking maybe it's just rough because of like the way it's mixed. Mm-hmm. We're kind of crossing our fingers and hoping that someone can engineer the bad out of it.
And also, our experience prior had been that we had, put together some pretty rough sounding recordings that turned into really polished things, which I now know, and I knew then too, but it's a lot of, your producer being a really good musician and
mm-hmm.
helping those parts to pass the finish line after you're gone, and we're better guitar players now. We'd have a better idea of what that looked like.
Oh, for sure.
Now. But Neil, who had done mixed all of our stuff previously, was simply not messaging us back at the time.
Right.
He was going through some personal stuff, and we just weren't hearing from him. So we went with a different producer, just out of necessity, out of just like someone that would email us back that I had found through a different producer manager. And they did a mix of this version that we did of Thank You Next, and it came back, and I would say it sounded about as good as the version of it that we had sent the first time. Like, It was a little cleaned up. The drums were a little different. My vocals were, like, auto-tune was on there, but they weren't really, like, combed through and made sure everything was nice and tidy with each other, like you would need it to be if you were a boy pop punk guy trying to sing Ariana Grande's Thank You Next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And me, Nick, and Noah were in pretty starch agreement that it.
Yeah, we had a powwow. We put our heads together and we said, we said,
it can't be released.
Let's not put this song out.
Yeah.
Let's do a different cover instead.
Well, so it wasn't just that, because this all kind of happened all at once, right? So we got that mix back and we don't know what to do, because this is like it wasn't like we could give him mixed notes. Like, it wasn't going to get better.
No. Yeah, I think it just made us realize that the song didn't work.
I think
it just wasn't working.
It wasn't working. And then totally related, totally unrelated, the Jonas Brothers, my first or second favorite band of all time, released what is still to this day my favorite song by them. They put out, like, the week that we were freaking out about this, they put out their song Sucker, which is my favorite Jonas. It's my favorite piece of work they've ever done. The song came out at 9:00 for us on a Thursday night. I was flipping out. I texted my girlfriend. I texted Sam. I texted Nick. I ran around town. I listened to it 1,000 times in a row. I thought it was
a good record, too.
I thought it was the best song I'd ever heard in my life by my favorite band. I was freaking out. And then, like, the next day that song came out, I go to the garage and I record all of the pieces for a cover of Sucker by the Jonas Brothers, just because I'm fucking stoked. Like, I just get on my computer and I record all the guitars, all the bass, all the drums for a cover of Sucker by the Jonas Brothers that I'm just going to put on my YouTube. Like it's not even going to be a Not My Weekend thing. I'm just so fucking excited about the song that I just do a whole cover. I was going to like put it on my Instagram and put it on my YouTube just as Pat or whatever, just for fun, because I fucking love this song. The Jonas Brothers are back, you know?
Right, but it was just kind of serendipity.
Well, so like you and Noah heard that because I had just like made it, and this is in the middle of us not turning in a song to Greg because Thank You Next isn't working, and Noah was like, "This is so much better." So it's like I don't even think anyone's on it but me, but in the recording of it. But Noah was just like, "It's just done and it's better." You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
And then we spent $500 when we wouldn't have had to spend $500 earlier to send it to John Lundeen from Point North. And he saved the day. We had never worked with him before. And I told him the situation we were in, and Point North used to be on We Are Triumphant, so he was familiar with how the Got You Covered thing works and the kind of mixes that Greg likes, etc. And he's just a killer producer. And he took the song and he took all my stems and he texted me. He was like, "Yo, man, I'm going to record all these guitars. They're not that good." And I was like, at this point I was used to stuff like that, and I was so excited that he was excited. I was like, hell yeah. He texted me, he was like, "I'm gonna re-record all these guitars, they're not that good." And I was like, "Yeah, you are. That's right. Thank you, John." And he re-recorded all the guitars, tuned up my vocals, gave us a mix back the next day for $500, got it done. That's not his price now. Don't go to John with $500. He's a very accomplished producer. And it sounded great.
Even back then, I think that was kind of a friendly price, probably.
It was. It was an emergency. You guys are nice price for sure. And it was the only time we've ever gotten a mix one back and just put that out. Like he sent us the mix one, and that's what you hear.
And
I was like, "Just sounds good."
To this day, I really like the way that record sounds. I like your vocal a lot. I think that it's very much in your wheelhouse.
We go together.
Yeah, where your falsetto sits.
Also, I think I had just spent so much of my life listening to the Jonas Brothers that I had a really clear idea of what Nick and Joe were doing in harmony with each other. Because normally I'm not. My ear isn't great. I'm not a super accomplished music theory guy. If we need harmonies on songs, I either have to spend a good amount of time figuring them out in my computer, or I have to have Nick help me find them, or luckily if Jared's around, Jared just sings them for me, and then I parakeet him because he can do it, but
he can like auto harmony anything.
He can auto harmony anything, and I'm just not that guy. I can't. Like I have the melody that I've come up with, or the melody of whatever the song is, but I can't auto harmony. But on this Jonas Brothers song, it's the only time, or not, maybe not the only time, but the main time where I was listening to a song and I like understood every individual harmony implicitly. It's the only time I never asked for help. I was just like, I just know what each thing they're singing, and I sang it,
Another thing I like about that song is we struck while the iron was so hot that we beat anyone else to the punch of just like doing a rock cover of that song.
It's probably maybe the first rock cover of "Sucker" by the Jonas Brothers. I mean, it was like maybe 2 weeks after the original came out, and like Greg didn't even know we were doing it. Like I messaged Greg and I was like, "Yo, the Ariana Grande cover sucks ass.
Yeah, never mind on that one.
Can we do this Jonas Brothers song? It's done, by the way." And he was like, "Yeah, I guess." And I remember Greg being like, "Hey, is this like a big song? Like, should we be doing this cover? Is this like a big enough song?" And I sent him like,
"It's gonna be a hit. Don't worry."
Yeah. I sent him like a screenshot of it like going up on the Billboard chart, and I was like, "Greg, we know it's the Jonas Brothers. They'll be fine. It's their.
You'll hear it on the radio like in a month or two.
It's their big comeback, and it's our big comeback. We're great. It's fine. It's fine." And then we played it all. It was in our set. We were playing
very fun to play as
we
well.
were playing all of the Yellow EP plus our cover of "Sucker" by the Jonas Brothers, which at the time was like all the music that we had out officially released on the tour, Declassified tour. And it was just a really nice moment where for me, I think of it as a nice moment because if you were a fan of our band and you came to see our show, you would see every song that we had. You know what I mean? Like if you got into Not My Weekend at the ground level like that and came to see us
we
live,
had 5 songs.
You'd listen to all 7 songs.
Well, yeah, the 5 songs and the 2 covers.
8 songs if you count. We've never played the My Chem cover, and we probably never will. So if you're so we played 7 out of our 8 songs. There's 6 songs on Yellow.
You're right.
Yes,
Thought 5
and
for some reason.
And we played all 6 of them, all 7 of them on that tour. That's good. Good times. All right, we did it. We went 3 minutes over when I said, but I'm not going to cut much. That's a solid episode of the Not My Week podcast.
No time for Q&A even. Did we even get any?
I didn't do one.
Oh, okay. Well, that works out.
It does work out. Thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you. This has been fun. Should we play a game so we click farm? No, your bit about the try hard joke was so funny. I think that's probably fine. Is there a game besides 20 questions?
I don't know. There's got to be something more engaging 2 guys can do in a van that would get more clicks. Can't you think of anything, Pat?
All right. This has been another episode of the Not My Week podcast. Get tickets to see us with Forever Came Calling and Calling All Captains in May. Follow our social media for posts every day. Subscribe to this YouTube and tell your friends about it. Follow me at Patrick NMW and follow Nick on whatever his Instagram is called.
It's NJHUDZ7.
I know, but
I have to spell it.
I keep saying that in an effort that I hope you'll change it. Well, you don't have to, but you can.
If I changed it, then you could say it out loud instead of me having to spell it.
Yeah, yeah. You just is Nick Hudson not available?
I follow a number of other Nick Hudsons on Instagram.
But is Nick Hudson? You followed all the people named Nick Hudson?
You never done that?
No.
You don't follow a bunch of other Patrick Gilchrists?
I follow one other Patrick Gilchrist, and we're friends.
Just by coincidence? You didn't search your name and find them and be like, what? My name?
No,
I want to be friends with you.
No, he found me. He's a prominent hockey player. And he followed me and he messaged me and he said, "You're making it really hard to be the most famous Patrick Gilchrist." And I was like, "My dude!"
Hey.
And I followed him back and he makes hockey content and stuff. And now he just like replies to my stuff. He's like, good looking out.
There's no way that Nick Hudson or Nicholas Hudson isn't taken. I looked for all the Nicholas Hudsons. I follow all of them. There are a lot of good guys. Good group of guys. Yeah, we hang out. We play Dungeons and Dragons together. Once a month.
It gets really confusing.
Nick H. No, Nick Hudson.
God.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.